You're going to make a mistake, a massive, expensive mistake that'll cost you hundreds of hours and maybe hundreds of dollars. It's not your fault. You'll download World of Warships, see a wall of incredible historical warships, and you'll pick the one that looks the coolest. And that single choice, made in the first 30 minutes, could become the anchor that drags your entire experience down. Most starter guides are fluff. They're marketing documents designed to get you hyped, not to prepare you. They won't tell you about the traps, the bad habits, and the dead-end tech trees that feel awesome for a few hours and then fall off the cliff. This isn't that guide. This is an unfiltered truth. As a fellow gamer, my job is to tell you what the game won't. We're going to break down the nations I think you should be looking at as a brand new player, and I'm going to show you the expense mistake almost everyone makes. Let's be brutally honest, picking the wrong ship line in World of Warships is like investing your life savings in a company just because it has a cool logo. That initial thrill quickly fades into the slow, agonizing realization that you've backed the wrong horse. The resources you pour into the bad line, the credits, the experience points, the real-world time are basically gone. Grinding a new line from scratch is a monumental task. Your first choice matters more than just about anything else, and we're going to get it right. Before we even glance at a ship, you need to understand the game's economy. Not the silver credits, but the economy of your time. Every battle earns you two things, credits and experience points, or XP. That XP is locked to the ship you just played. To unlock the next ship in the line, say the Tier 2, you have to spend Tier 1 ship XP. To get to Tier 3, you have to grind the Tier 2. It's a ladder, plain and simple. Here's the trap. The game is incredibly gentle for the first handful of battles. The early tiers are what's called protected marketing environment. This doesn't mean you never face a challenge, but it does mean you'll generally be in co-op battles against bots or in random battles with lots of bots and favorable tiering. Everything feels powerful and every ship seems viable. You're having a blast, totally unaware that you're developing habits and investing in a ship that might be useless once the training wheels come off. The mistake is thinking this gentle start is the real game. It's not. The game really starts to show its teeth around Tier 5. This is what players call the Tier 5 wall, where the protected matchmaking largely disappears. Suddenly you'll be staring down the barrels of ships with 2 tiers higher than you. A Tier 5 cruiser, for example, might have to face a Tier 7 battleship, and it has almost no chance of beating it in a fair fight. This is where your first choice comes back to bite you. If you picked a gimmick nation, a ship line that depends on a very specific advanced playstyle, you'll get absolutely brutalized. The hundreds of thousands of XP and millions of credits you've sunk into the line feel like a monument to a bad decision. Starting over feels like punishment. That's why you're going to focus on 2 nations. I believe are the true starter nations, the United States and Japan. If you want the single safest, most effective starting point, it's the American Navy. There's a reason you'll hear a common term in the community for the US lines. They're honest. They don't rely on tricks or gimmicks. They teach you about absolute fundamentals of positioning, aiming, and survival. Let's break down why. American ships, especially battleships and cruisers, are the classic jack of all trades, master of none. They have decent guns, decent armor, and decent maneuverability. Nothing about them is mind-blowing, but almost nothing is terrible either. This forces you to learn the game properly. You can't lean on overpowered torpedoes or a magical smokescreen to bail you out of trouble. You have to learn not to get in trouble in the first place. Take the battleships. The early tier American dreadnoughts, like the South Carolina and the Wyoming, are slow, painfully slow. They feel like a floating concrete block. This sounds awful, but my advice is to see it as a blessing in disguise. Their slow speed makes you think about the map. You can't just charge ahead, you have to plan your route minutes in advance. You learn to read the battle because you simply don't have the speed to fix a bad decision. This teaches positioning, the single most important skill in the game. As you move up the line, they get faster, but then you will have learned the hard lesson of patience. Their anti-aircraft firepower is also historically respectable for in later tiers, which can be a lifesaver. Though AA in general is not the dominant force it once was in the game's past. Now for certain cruisers, US cruisers are support vessels that teach you teamwork. They are great for hunting destroyers and providing anti-aircraft cover for your battleships. The key lesson they teach is using island cover. Many have high arcing shells, which means they can park behind a small island and lob rounds over it, hitting enemies who can't hit you back. This is a fundamental tactic that will serve you well in many other ship lines you play, They are sturdy, but showing your flat side, your broadside, is a death sentence. They will teach you about angling and your armor faster than any other line. Where the American ships are a reliable hammer, the Japanese ships are a fine-honed, razor-sharp knife. They are specialists. They excel in a few key areas but have a clear exploitable weakness. Playing them teaches a different but equally valuable set of skills: patience, stealth, and overwhelming strike damage. The Imperial Japanese Navy, or IJN, is often characterized by two things: great guns and not so great armor. They are known for having accurate, hard-hitting, and long-range guns, tier 4 tier, especially on their battleships and cruisers. Let's talk battleships. The classic Japanese battleship line, starting with ships like the Congo, is generally faster than its American rivals and focuses on long-range gunnery. They teach you about shot discipline and aiming because their guns hit so hard. A well-aimed salvo can delete an enemy cruiser from the game. This is thrilling, but it comes with a huge trade-off. Their armor is often weaker, and they are very vulnerable if caught at close range. They teach you to control the engagement, staying at a distance where your guns are deadly, but the enemies are less so. Japanese cruisers are quintessentially glass cannons. They are famous for their excellent HE shells, or high explosive, which are fantastic for setting fires. For a beginner, this is great. You don't need to aim perfectly at the enemy's citadel. You can just hit the deck and watch them burn. Many are also armed with devastating, powerful long-range torpedoes. This teaches you the art of kiting, sailing away from an enemy, peppering them with shells, and launching torpedoes in your wake. The weakness? They are exceptionally fragile. They teach you to never, ever show your side, to use your excellent concealment to vanish when these things get too hot. The true specialists are the destroyers. The main Japanese torpedo-focused destroyer line is all about stealth. They have some of the best concealment in the game, and their torpedoes are among the longest range and hardest hitting. This line teaches you map awareness and patience. Your job is to sneak in, flank, unseen, and unleash a wall of torpedoes the enemy never saw coming. It's high skill, high reward playstyle. Mess it up and you'll be shredded by a gun-focused destroyer, as your own guns are often slow. But get it right and you can cripple the enemy team by yourself. Now we come to the Royal Navy. This is where you see a lot of new players fall into a devastating trap. On the surface, British ships look incredibly forgiving because they are packed with powerful tools that seem like a safety net. In reality, they teach you crippling bad habits. The defining feature of many British ships is their improved repair party consumable. Where most ships can heal a small portion of damage, some high-tier British battleships have a super heal that can restore massive chunks of their health, far more than the standard heal. This seems amazing, but it's a crutch. It teaches you that you can make huge mistakes like showing your side and eating huge damage just to heal it back. You learn to be reckless. When you switch to another nation, you'll play the same reckless way, but the undo button won't be there and you'll just explode. However, the single biggest trap of the British tree, in my opinion, is the light cruiser line. The defining characteristics of this line, from the mid-tiers up to the Minotaur, is a brutal limitation. They can only fire AP shells, no HE shells at all. For an experienced player, this is a unique challenge. For a new player, it's a nightmare. Here's why. AP shells need to hit a flat surface to do damage. If they hit an angled surface, they bounce off for 0 damage. A new player doesn't understand armor angling. You'll find yourself shooting at an enemy battleship that's angled, and every one of your shells will ricochet harmlessly. You will feel completely useless. This line requires a deep understanding of game mechanics to be effective, making it one of the worst possible lines to start with. Many of their destroyers are also quirky, known for unique short-burst smoke screens that require precise timing and a lack of an engine boost on some ships, which are not beginner-friendly traits. So you've seen the all-rounder American and the specialist Japanese. Which one do you pick? Here's my single most important piece of advice. Do not just pick one line and grind it straight to tier 10. That's a recipe for burnout. Your mission as a new player should be to play both American and Japanese battleship and cruiser lines up to tier 5. Stop there. At tier 5, the game changes. You start facing much tougher opponents. By playing multiple nations and ship types, you'll experience this harsh new reality from several angles. You'll see which playstyle actually clicks with you when the pressure is on. You'll discover if you prefer the reliable armor of the US battleship or the sneaky gameplay of the Japanese cruiser. Only after you've played multiple ship types from these core nations to Tier 5 should you even think about choosing one line to take further. This is your true starting point. By then, you'll have saved yourself hundreds of hours of grinding a line you realize you hate. You will have avoided the biggest traps and learned the fundamentals the right way. If you appreciate sincere gameplay and a perspective of a realist, subscribe and join the crew. We're building a respectful community here, and there's always a seat on the bridge for a fellow strategist. So once you've found a line that clicks, the real journey begins. You'll need to understand deeper mechanics like captain skills and ship upgrades. If this guide helped you avoid that first expensive mistake, let me know in the comments which nation you started with and why. Don't fall for the flashiest ship. Don't believe the marketing hype. Your first 30 hours in this game aren't about racing to the top. They're about building a foundation. The United States will teach you how to build a solid house. Japan will teach you where to place it for the perfect ambush. Other nations like the UK teach powerful but advanced lessons, often through painful failure if you start there too early. Play the US and Japanese to Tier 5, survive the wall. Then and only then will you be ready to truly start your journey in World of Warships. It's a long road, but it starts with a single smart decision. Don't let your first one be a mistake.